everybody, welcome to the Olympian Table, and here we are to talk about everything that's going on out there in the wilderness, and not the wilderness, and wilderness, cities, whatever. We're just talking about politics, and we're talking about all the good things in life that make us feel happy and a little bit depressed at times. But there we go. So first of all, what we're going to do is what I'd like to do, pulling myself back a little bit and not getting ahead of myself as always, is to introduce Kay. Good morning, Kay. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Are you living the dream?
I am. The weather's getting nice.
It's getting nice and cold, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
nice.
Perfect.
I love Houston in autumn is fabulous. Plus it's even more fabulous because my wife's leaving town on Sunday and she's going to Scandinavia.
Are you going to have a house party?
So I'll be by myself. Actually, that's a good idea. Why don't I do that? The dogs will really enjoy that. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about the port strike that's going on. And it's going all the way down the East Coast. It's actually just been resolved on the West Coast. I know that, on LA. And they got themselves, I think it was a 77% pay increase on the West Coast, and now the East Coast and all the big ports on the East Coast, which is under the members of the International Longshoremen Association, have decided that it's their turn for a raise. Now, to put everything into perspective, these people have not been on strike in 5 decades. Dockers at the port of Houston. Houston's a large port, it's one of the largest ports in the US. New Orleans is a big port. What ports are on the East Coast? I know there's a big one in New York.
Maine, they said.
Maine. So personally, I hope these guys get a raise. A lot of people are saying that because the strike is going on, that it's going to lead to shortages in the stores, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But at the end of the day, I think we should support some of these guys. I think there's going to be a shortage of fruits and vegetables, and just general commodities. I would like to see these guys, get a raise. It's been a long time since they've had a raise. And I really think that, I think corporations are the ones doing the price gouging. I don't believe in this trickle down from the top and it goes all the way down to the people at the bottom. I do believe in unions. I think unions can be good. I think unions need to be, rational about the things. But I think the workers need to be united. And from being from somebody where my family grew up in the pits in Wales, I can guarantee you that, the unions were very, very good. They looked after the people, and a lot of the local communities. That's one of the problems with America, I feel, because the people, the gender gap, you've got the top 1% and it's the middle class we need to put the money into. So that way what we can do is to cycle the money in the middle class, and that way it'll help everybody. It'll help small businesses. When these docks, if the people have got no money to spend, then you've got local businesses that it's going to put a strain on. So I hope everybody sort of puts up with a little bit of pain if it does lead to some shortages. People say it could lead to a little bit of inflation, but I will tell you that inflation is a big thing in the world at the moment. You've got the Ukrainian war, you've got Iran, who's really causing the inflation at the moment with firing missiles, and the Israeli-Iranian issue is really, they think, is causing instability, in the Middle East. So I hope that can sort itself out shortly. Any comments, Kay? She's doing something with her.
I'm I'm listening to you through a different system.
Okay.
But I wanted to say, as far as the strike goes, so our port in Houston is closed. So the Houston port is completely shut down. We are not going to. We're not going to be working. They're just not. They're not going to be working at all. But.
So what happens to the ships? Do they just stay out in the Gulf?
Yeah, they're not going to be unloaded. They might have to go to the West Coast, But it says it's going to affect holiday shopping too. So if it continues, I actually have a friend, she works in transportation, and she said that they are 4 weeks ahead typically, so they're about 4 weeks ahead. So it won't really affect us until for about another 4 to 6 weeks. That's when it's really going to start affecting us if this doesn't get resolved, because all the shipments and a lot of companies and everybody is pretty much up to snuff for the next 4 weeks. But after that, that's if it doesn't come to us.
So 4 to 6 weeks, where does that take us? Just before Christmas?
November, just before Thanksgiving.
Could be a problem.
No turkey for us. No turkeys for us, but yeah, they said it's a big holiday shopping risk. So, like we said.
Well, Americans spend too much at Christmas anyway. I mean, they really do.
And the article also says that they were seeking that, like you said, they were seeking that 77% wage increase, right, over the 6 years, but they so far have only offered a 50% raise increase and tripled retirement. So, would you take that? Would you take the 50%?
I would.
6 years and triple retirement?
I would. I'd take it.
Yeah, but they rejected.
I mean, it's not unreasonable.
Yeah, that's not an unreasonable thing, but I mean.
But they haven't been on. They haven't had an increase for 5 decades.
Yeah, so it's like at least a fair increase.
But for me, in what I do, I'd take it in a heartbeat.
I think that they're not taking it because obviously if 50% is their first option, like their first offer, then they can.
Well, the other part is, remember, they've just had 77% on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But wages are higher over there anyway. You understand? To me, the thing. The standard, the cost of living is cheaper in the South. On the West Coast, the cost of living is an awful lot higher. Mm-hmm. So I think, that should be in it somewhere.
Yeah, that's probably a big thing. I mean, they were probably getting paid, that, like the equivalent of working in the South to the West Coast. But yeah, I think this is crazy. So this video that we have here is actually at a Sam's Club. I don't know if y'all shop at Sam's Club. I love Sam's Club.
Tell everybody the story that you told me about when we had a hurricane in Houston. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there was a hurricane, I think maybe 4 years ago maybe. And the gas in Houston ended up going up, obviously because Houston gets affected by a lot of hurricanes.
And then we're lining up for maybe an hour and a half.
I lived in San Antonio.
No, but I mean, when we have hurricanes,
yeah,
we're lining in lines for an hour and a half just to get to the gas pump.
Right.
And then by the time you get there, it's empty.
Exactly. And nobody tells you anything. But I guess, so in San Antonio, they ended up putting up a picture on social media. It just said, gas in Houston costs this much, it's $5. And this was a few years ago, so those were crazy numbers back then. So everybody started freaking out. The hurricane did not affect San Antonio or Austin whatsoever. There was I don't even think it rained, it just didn't. But we caused our own gas shortage and caused gas to triple because of the fact that everyone was freaking out, and gas in San Antonio was only $2 at the time. But for about a week straight, people were just going to the gas stations. They were getting trash cans. They were going to Home Depot, buying empty trash cans, and filling
the full size gas can.
Yes, the full The ones that you have outside of your house, they were filling them up with gas.
How dangerous is that?
It's super dangerous. And also, what are you going to do? You can't use that. That's why red gas cans are covered. You cannot use that gas. They were getting cars. Most people in Texas have at least 2 cars. So they were getting the cars that they didn't really use and going to the places, and they were filling those up. There were people filling up classic cars that they just use for show, different things like that, just to, get the gas. So this is very similar as to what's happening in Louisiana. So you can see, and during COVID as well. So people are...
And that's what happens with a lot of the times. I'll never forget, I was telling you as well, I went to Sam's one day to, just get some supplies. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there was families coming out of there with 2 carts, 3 carts. I'll never forget, there was one cart that was completely full of water. There was another cart that had 4 big cases of toilet paper.
Yeah, and that's
what is it with these hurricanes? It gives you the shits.
Right.
It's just nuts,
That's literally what people are doing in this video. They're just getting it.
So let's get to the video and then.
Yeah. So they're just taking toilet paper. They're taking, I think, paper towels, because probably toilet paper went out of stock. And the lines are ridiculous. But this is also Louisiana, so they're getting flooded by the current Hurricane Helene as well. So that is a little bit.
And they've got another one coming their way, they reckon.
Yeah. And someone said, COVID didn't teach y'all anything. There's a comment. And someone said, that's like that all the time at Sam's. And then someone else said, back on this pandemic energy. Which is
in communist Cuba.
It's so crazy. So
yeah. Our local Walmart was out of the TP and water yesterday. There you go.
Yeah, so
these folks tripping.
They're going crazy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it makes the situation worse.
It does make it worse.
And I think the important part is when we get these catastrophic events is, put politics aside. We're all American. We should all be neighbours. We should all help one another. Check on your neighbours. Check on the elderly. Do the right thing. Nothing should be, you should always be checking on your neighbours and making sure that they're okay. I'll never forget, when we had the hurricane, a number of the neighbours that we don't really talk because we live on half-acre lots, but we all decided to get a barbecue together. Do you know why we had a barbecue together? Because we was only going to lose the meat in somebody's fridge anyway. So we all decided to cook it, and it was actually pretty nice, apart from no air conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sweet thing to do. I've got a neighbor who he annoys the heck out of me, but he's very helpful, he's very nice, He helps all the neighbors out too during this last hurricane that we had. He had a generator and he was helping people, just be able to charge their stuff throughout the hurricane. So that's what people really need to get, generators. They don't need to get all this toilet paper. Everybody needs a generator. So yeah, I think that this video is silly. These lines are crazy, and some people don't even have anything in their carts. I feel bad for the poor people who might not even know, might not have been ready. They just are going for their regular shopping stuff, and then they see all of these people just going crazy. I feel bad for those people.
That's how I felt when I went to Sam's. I'm like, okay, there's a hurricane coming, but where's the problem?
Yeah, so the port workers strike is going to be, hopefully it'll be fast. Hopefully they can come to a fair agreement, because they are essential workers. They have literally been doing it forever, and we need them. So Yeah. There's a lot of comments on the Yahoo that about people hate, like they actually hate the fact that the workers are on strike. But I support the strike. I mean, it sucks for us, but if you're not getting paid fairly and you have the ability to fight for it, then
go for it. I'm for the strike. Give them a fair wage.
yeah. So, but now,
I mean, look, Kamala Harris was flipping burgers for 15 years, or was it 5 years, while she was going through college. So, go get your money.
but we have another video just kind of talking about, I guess, Houston ports. We have a video about Galveston. So if you are a Houstonian, if you are a resident of Houston, we've got some good news for you, at least for now. This was a couple days ago. And
Can I comment on this?
yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is what I want to say about this. This is what I want to say about this comment before we play it to everybody. All right. This is how water should be. All right. So from a point of view of this woman getting on Instagram and doing this, what point are you trying to make? Because water should be this way.
You know what point she's trying
All
to
right.
make.
I know the point she's trying to make. The truth of the matter is, Galveston water is disgusting. I would never ever get in there, you know? And
Yeah, so we have this video here. And let's see.
go play the video.
I've lived on the dirty coast my whole life, third coast. And I've been to the beach a million, thousand, 100 times. And today I'm working remotely. So I was sitting on the beach and I decided, well, I'm going to go get my feet wet. And I noticed the water was super clear. Hold on. So I'm going to show you how crazy. And if you've ever been to the beach in Galveston, you're going to know this is like, okay, it's shallows. It's like the shallows are kind of clear. But like we went all the way out and the water is crystal clear and not even like getting stirred up by our feet dirty. I could see everything like so far. This is Galveston. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Have you ever seen it like this?
No, not really.
Even as we get, so we're about like almost knee deep now. You could still see the bottom perfectly, crystal clear. And even like further and further out, like even the waves aren't really stirring up the bottom of the water. This is so crazy. I'm gonna see how far I can go and like still see the bottom. But so I'm over knee deep now. I don't see any fish. I'll get scared if I see fish. This is just the wildest.
So yeah, she's so excited about the Galveston water being so clear, which is so funny because, like you said, water's supposed to be clear. I just don't.
And here's the other thing as well. There was 2 comments in there that when I was going through and she was so funny. The first thing is, it's quite simple. Where's the fish? All right. You know, there's supposed to be fish in the water. And the other one, which is the reason why it is clear, is it's because of the hurricane changing, well, the most recent hurricane, changing the rotation of the current and pulling the flow from the mouth of the Mississippi, which normally dumps into the Gulf, and the counterclockwise currents dumping debris onto the Texas coast, acting as a filter.
Yep. So we're not gonna.
Because
have
the
a
Mississippi just dumps all its crap into the Gulf, you know, which is up by New Orleans. But because the hurricane was heading over towards Florida, I guess Florida's got all that crap now.
For now, until that hurricane.
Well, there's another one coming apparently that's on its way to Florida. I do feel for them people in Florida.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show, because I have only been to, I've been to San Marcos and I've been to South Padre Island. South Padre Island is nice. It's lovely. It's, you know, it's.
Yeah, my daughter's been there for spring break a couple of times.
Yeah, so it's a nice, clear spot. But San Marcos is pretty gross. You know, there's There's just bugs all in the water.
Where's this?
San Marcos. It's gross. It's not. I am ashamed to say that I have gone swimming in that water, but it's so bad. But
San Marcos.
Right where Jill used to live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not.
But that's not on the river or the coast, is it?
They have their own beaches. It's a river. That,
Oh, it's on the river. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah.
But it says that fecal bacteria on some Texas beaches is elevated ahead of spring break. Elevated. So this was earlier this year. But this was April 2024. And the most recent study reviewing 2022 results shows 90% of Texas beaches had at least one day of unsafe fecal contamination, surpassing the national average of 55%. So that means over 55% of fecal bacteria were in these beaches. Gross. Gross. I have never wanted to go swimming in Galveston because of that. And they said water samples used to analyze waters were taken from 172 testing sites from March to October. So, every so often out of the month they would go and check it. So that's why she's so excited. That's why people are so excited about Galveston, is because it has not, it hasn't been a thing where, where people can actually go swimming and see their feet. I had someone say that, oh, let's go to Galveston. I was like, I'm not going in that poo water. I'm not going in that water. I don't care. And people have been sending me this video because I have been talking about how much I refuse to go to Galveston for years.
I've never been into the sea thing.
I'm also afraid of the sandworms and stuff at the beach.
Sandworms?
Yeah, you haven't seen those videos where there are like little holes in the beach and people have been like sticking stuff in there and it'll latch on and they just pull out giant sandworms.
How big are they?
They're super long. They're like this long.
Really?
Yeah, but they're slim, but they're super long sandworms.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, that's gross. I'm not a big fan of the beach anyway,
I'm not.
But
I'm not. Somebody took me crab hunting one night off the beach for blue crabs, and I thought it was cruel. So they got flashlights and they're looking for crabs.
Oh.
Then they go pick them up and they throw them in a bucket.
Yeah. But
leave the crabs alone. That's what I say.
It definitely says there is some good news. They secured $80 million for a fund to clean up the beaches, but the hearing is not going to take place until March, and then the decision is scheduled for August 2025 to see like what people are, what they're going to do with the money, how they're actually going to use the money. $80 million, at least 100 of those beaches better be cleaned up.
Is it all Texas beaches?
90%. 90% of Texas beaches. Out of 172 of them, 90% of them were tested. So that's why I say really the only safe place is South Padre that I know of.
They should start cleaning up, do something with the water. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
That's the source of the pollution.
Oh my gosh, it says if you drink the water or have an open cut and go swimming, it can cause gastrointestinal problems, diarrhea, vomiting, and in some cases so severe that you end up in the emergency room.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Did you see Lady Bird Lake? That whole thing last year? It was terrible. Lady Bird Lake in Austin, people's dogs were dying because of the bacteria, because you're not supposed to swim in that water. People go kayaking in the water, right? Just like they go kayaking here in the bayou. But you're not supposed to swim in the bayou water. You're not supposed to swim in Lady Bird Lake, but they were letting their dogs, jump off and, off of their kayaks and swim in them. And a lot of dogs ended up passing away or getting super sick that they had to be put down. It's really sad. And it's like the amount of bacteria in Texas waters is ridiculous. I mean, this picture here is brown.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Anyway, we are going to finish off today. As you can see, I'm wearing my Aston Villa outfit today. 42 years ago, Aston Villa won the European Cup. We have not been in Europe for 41 years, actually. And we won that game 42 years ago against Bayern Munich. And this evening, Aston Villa are playing Bayern Munich, which seems strange after all them years. You know, they're playing the game in a reasonable time. Unfortunately, we lost one of our Champions League heroes, Gary Shaw, at the age of 63 in September. He was a local Birmingham boy from Birmingham, England. He grew up through the ranks of Aston Villa. He was he joined the ranks of Aston Villa from the age of 6, and he went all the way through, the ranks and such like. And it's so sad, but tonight they're going to honour him by putting him on the team sheet, I believe. There's a couple of surprises that's out there. The game is at 2 o'clock British Standard. Well, it's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock American time and 8 o'clock British Standard Time. So we're looking forward to that game. So up the Villa, we hope you do well. It'd be nice to see you sort of, get something out of that game. But it's a chance to remember Gary Shaw. They're going to honour him before the game. So it's sort of it's a sad occasion. Gary Shaw was one of my favourites. He stopped playing at the age of 27 due to injury. But rest in peace, Gary Shaw. And up the Villa for this evening, and we hope that you do well against Bayern Munich and Team Harry Kane, as I call them. But anyway, that's about it for this week, isn't it, Kay?
That's all we have this week.
So if nobody out there supports English soccer, go look at Aston Villa. I was watching a video the other day about Aston Villa, and we have won. We have got 5. We are the 5th from the top point since the league started in, I believe, 1895-ish. We have got the 5th top total of points in the highest league in English league football. So over the years, we are up there. We've got a heritage. It's a fantastic stadium. We've got some fantastic owners. We've got an incredible manager, Unai Emery, and we've got some fantastic players. So look up the heritage and find out the heritage of Aston Villa, and go and subscribe to some of the Aston Villa channels. Anyway, so from Stephen Williams, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We'd love to hear from you. And until next week, we'll see you. Take a bunch. All right, bye. Ta-da for now.